Hello everyone, and welcome back for the greenhouse update. I'll be taking you in the greenhouse now, and I'll show you what I got going on there. Alright everyone, welcome to the greenhouse. Alright, what we have in front of us here, I have about a dozen or 14 tomato plants I had started in the dirt, and I ended up transplanting here. All these grew from seedlings. All seeds I bought too are all organic. Everything in this garden, everything is done all organic. Alright, so I'll show you what I got here. So this is my exhaust fan. If you go to buy an exhaust fan on the internet, like a typical exhaust fan, it's going to run you like $300. This is just like a $60 fan that had a stand. I took it off and screwed it into the wood, and it works perfect. So save yourself some money and just install a regular fan. I say that, but an exhaust fan, I will run into one issue in the winter, which is I'll have to cover the outside here so the cold air doesn't come in. For me though, I was just using parts and materials I had around the house, and so since I could make this into what I needed, like since it would work for what I needed, I went ahead and chose to use this. No, back to the aquaponics system. You'll see I have many of these in the system right now, and these are what are called starter plugs. And you just enter the seed directly in, and it'll grow. This is how you start a seed in aquaponics. So some of my pots are still like this. They don't have anything in them yet. I kind of wanted to plant things in intervals, so I wouldn't have everything ready at once. I would have food, ready on a cycle. So I do have many planted, but not all yet. Also, here's an experiment I'm doing. I'm also growing plants in dirt, and this is all organic dirt. All the research says that aquaponics will sprout a seed faster than dirt. So far, from my trials, that is correct. The seed in the aquaponics does sprout much faster. But what I'm doing here is I like to just grow some plants as well, get them started at least. The starter plugs I showed you, I don't remember how much they cost, but they cost money. Maybe it was like $20 for like 100 of them. So, but if you do this and you just plant your seeds in the dirt and let them grow up to small plants, you can enter that small plant into your aquaponics system. And these are very cheap to buy, and I mean dirt is very cheap as well, especially if you just go buy like a yard of it instead of just buying a bag from Lowe's or Home Depot. Just take your truck and buy a yard of dirt and bring it back to the house. It'll last you forever, especially if you're just doing something like this. You'll never use it all. So I have about maybe 10 different types of plants in here. There's kale, there's spinach, parsley, some flowers, squash, cucumbers, and I don't know I forget what else I put in here, but that's what this is for. Alright, I'll take y'all down. So, my tomato plants. They look pretty healthy. I don't know, I do have a little discoloration, or I say it's a much lighter color, and I don't know if this is from just being a new system, or if this is, I have too much or too little of something. I'm going to do some research on that and find out. But what I do know is the roots in these systems. I'll show you here. I'm not even going to pull it all the way out because it's going to be really hard for me to get back in. But you can see how many roots are there. And this little guy here, actually I could just pick them off. This just takes up energy your plant could be using. There's no need for that down there. You just go ahead and pull that off. That's called cutting your tomato plants back. And that's how that's how fast they've grown. I was out of town for a week, and this grew up in a week. I'll see if I have a one of these tomato plants where I can pull out and show you how many roots are in there, smaller plants, because this one just has too many to pull out. And I bet we could see them. Let me see. Maybe you guys can see them. Y'all got a better look than I did. The GoPro can go places I can't go. Alright. So, you see all my plants still? Here we go. Here's a smaller plant. We'll see what, there you go. And you can see this taproot right here. That was the only root when I had them in dirt, because I wasn't paying since I was building this system, I wasn't paying attention to them. And so they just grew along taproot because I wasn't watering them as much as I should. And I'll have to fix this later. But alright, let me take y'all down and show y'all the fish tank. So the wood deck I have over this, I built because I started to have algae in my tank. And there was two fixes that I found. One was install a UV filter, which will kill the algae, but then it ends up being like a band-aid fix because you have to keep the UV filter on then. And it cost about, like, I would say $80 a year or so for your light or your UV filter. Or you could do the simple natural fix, which is just to cover it. And if you cover it, then no sunlight will get in and the algae will stop growing. And actually this piece of wood here, it fits perfectly right here. But what I found out is I can still use about this much light and no algae will grow. So that was the easy fix. And also you'll see some bubbles coming up right over here. That's from my aerator. So maybe you got to look at the pump too down there and the aerator, and maybe you saw a few of the fish. There's about 20 bluegill perch. I'll throw a little food in there in a minute and see if we can't get them to eat. I fed them earlier, but I'm sure they're still hungry. Quickly though, I'll show you that pump you saw down there, what happens, where that water goes. Well, it pumps up, there's a piece of pipe underneath the wood here. That comes up and it feeds all 6 of these pipes. Now this is just one method of aquaponics. There's many more methods, but this is the way I chose to do it. That water pumps up and let's see. I don't know if you guys can see in there. See the water coming in? Well, that's the water comes up here. It flows all the way down, and there's a pipe that's actually running underneath these 2x6s. Let me show you. So that water returns to the fish tank. So I'm just using my same water over and over again. The only water I lose is a little bit to the plants and then evaporation. I'll take you back to the fish tank and I'll show you where that water returns, and we'll see if we can't get a good look at the fish. Okay, we're back at the tank. So the water, you'll see it's right under the deck here. That's where all my water returns, and that also creates some aeration as well, which it may be enough, but I went ahead and added an extra aerator just to be sure. Now we'll see if we can't get the fish to eat. that's our fish tank. And I'll show you one other thing. In the first video, I had mentioned putting a filter on the barrels, and I mentioned that I have not put a filter on the barrel, and that I was filtering it after it rained, and that was confusing to me when I watched it back. So I was going to show you how I was getting all the trash out of that water, even though there was no filter on there. Simply, I just made this with some PVC pipe and some extra screen I had, and I just pour the water over the screen and it catches everything. So even though I don't have a filter attached, this is all I had to do to catch all the junk that was in the water. There was no dirt really, the water was clear. It was just like some leaves and sticks, little limbs. Let me bring you over here now and show you some of the broccoli. When I put these in, they were maybe 25% of this size. There's still like some more discoloration here, and I don't know again what this is. I'm a little too new at this, but we'll see their root system too, and it's amazing how fast these things grow. You can literally watch them grow. And I'll show you a few other plants I have growing down here that have sprouted. Thanks for joining me on the second video update. I hope you enjoyed going into the greenhouse and seeing how far I've progressed on my aquaponics system. You know, this really isn't that difficult. I learned all this off of YouTube and a little reading on the internet. And you know, it sounded kind of difficult on the internet, but once I started doing it and figured everything out, one thing at a time, before I knew it, I was already this far. And this was just a few short months of just working on this on and off like in spare time. So I look forward to showing you my third video update. I'm not sure what that'll be yet, but follow me on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll see soon enough. Thanks, guys.